Hey, what's up, everyone? Nikki Skevich here with Daily Fantasy Winners. Got the next tournament up here with Tee to Green, and it is the Career Builder Challenge this week. This is in La Quinta, California, which is right next door to Palm Springs, east of LA, in Southern California. The next stage of the West Coast swing here now in California, and then a quick stop at Arizona as well. I'm going to say this right now, though, just to get this out of the way for this week with the Career Builder Challenge. Quite honestly, just full disclosure, I would probably recommend not playing daily fantasy for this tournament this weekend, or I would just really limit your entries. There are several reasons why for this, and I'll get more into it as we move along here in the video, but it's just to say that there is going to be a lot of variance and there's just not much edge here, I think, to find in this event. But we'll get into the details here in just a second. So the first thing is, what do you need to know about this tournament? The first, probably most important variable you need to know about the Career Builder Challenge is that while there is a cut for this tournament, it is after Saturday's round, or after 54 holes, if you will, before the cut is made. This tournament is played at 3 different courses. It is at PGA West TPC Stadium course, PGA West Tournament course, and then La Quinta Country Club. So those are the three golf courses that are used for it. So all the golfers are going to play 18 holes at each course over the 3 days, and then the cut is made, and then the final 18 holes will be played at the TPC Stadium course. So the Stadium course will see 36 holes, and the other 2 courses will see 18. Important note also, if you're thinking of using course history here for some of your research, as a lot of people like to do, last year is the only year in this tournament's history where these were the 3 courses that were used in this format. This tournament has gone through massive changes based on what courses are used and what the exact format is. It was only a handful of years ago that this tournament used to be 5 rounds actually instead of 4. It used to be a 90-hole event. And then as far as the stadium course goes, where there's 36 holes this year, that course wasn't even brought into the equation for this event until last year. So it wasn't even used in years prior as one of the courses for 18 holes. It wasn't. So there are a lot of golf courses in PGA West and kind of in the La Quinta area. And so in any case, there's just not much to go off of with this week. As far as the field strength goes, it is pretty weak this year. Abu Dhabi is obviously happening this weekend as well. And obviously some of the better players have gone over to play in that event this week, which is nothing abnormal. And as far as the winning score goes in this tournament, it's usually a very scoreable course. Usually winning scores around 25 under par. Would not be shocked if we saw another score like that, of course, again this year, especially since we're probably going to have some softer conditions, it sounds like, this week, with some rain that's happened there recently and some rain that's to be expected. So in any case, softer conditions usually means more scoreable on a pretty scoreable course as it is. And then last just note is that this is a Pro-Am, and a lot of the times when you get these tournaments that are played at multiple different courses, that these are Pro-Ams. You'll see the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am in about a month from now, or a few weeks from now. I'm not exactly sure how many weeks out it is at this point, but it's coming up that it's also a Pro-Am as well. So usually it's 5+ hour rounds, so get ready for longer rounds. So in any case, that's it for as far as we need about the tournament. What do you need to know about the golf courses specifically? So the PGA West TPC Stadium course tips out at 7,300. PGA West Tournament course tips out at 7,204 yards. And La Quinta Country Club tips out at only 7,060 yards. All 3 courses are par 72. So at the end of the day, these are all pretty short courses, especially La Quinta Country Club. But even PGA West at 7,300 for par 72, that's still a little bit even on the shorter side, given it's a par 72, or it's middle of the road at the longest. So and then as far as the par 5s go on this golf course, on these golf courses, with the exception of 2 par 5s on the stadium course that are over 600 yards, the other 10 par 5s basically are all in the low to mid 500-yard range. So there's just going to be plenty of eagles for everyone on all these golf courses. And distance just really doesn't help much, in these areas with so many eagle holes out there for a lot of the hitters. Pretty much everybody's going to be able to hit a lot of these par 5s in too. And as far as these courses and what course fit does, there just really isn't exactly a specific type of golfer that really fits, whether it's more guys that are just great off the tee, whether they're just great approaches, great putters. Historically, great putters, like when I say historically, just over the years at usually at more scoreable courses, the historically great putters will fare a little bit better because the more opportunities you're going to have for birdie, the more good putting comes into play. And obviously birdies is where you're going to do a little bit more of your DraftKings scoring. So that would be one thing to slightly consider. And I'll get into that in just a second here as far as the strategy goes. And that's what we're going into right now, actually. So as far as strategy, as I alluded to in the beginning of the video, this is a very tough week. So really the reasons are, A, you can't really use course history. B, with multiple courses used, there aren't many specific stats to focus on. C, recent form really isn't that big here just because a lot of these golfers in this field are playing their first competitive round in over a month, and in even some cases 2 months. Some played in the Sony, and then some played at the SBS Tournament Champions, and maybe a little bit more recently, but it's just a mixed bag, and you have a lot of people that have not played for quite some time, or I should say not played a competitive tournament round. Doesn't mean they haven't been playing golf or practicing, obviously. Reason D, with the cut being after 54 holes and not 36, it brings a little more variance into the equation. And then lastly, reason E is if you look at our odds per dollar tab on DailyFantasyWinners.com, the DraftKings salaries are pretty spot on with the sportsbook odds. So really, there's just not much to go off of here for gaining an edge. So if you're wondering, okay, well, I really want to play, this weekend just because I'll throw a couple lineups out there anyways, who cares? So what can we look at? What I would say is look at recent strokes gained tee to green. So look at this year's strokes gained tee to green, and you can look at strokes gained approaching as well. So you can look at off the tee and approaching the green, but really you can just look at strokes gained tee to green, the broader version, and see who's been hitting the ball well so far this year and who's in good form. That sense, and then also, like I said, you could look at historically great putters. So obviously being in good form as of late is a good thing with hitting the ball, and then obviously since it's a scoreable course, there's going to be a ton of birdie opportunities. And so the best case scenario I can say if you're really wanting to dive in and do some research on this is try and find somebody who's hit the ball really well this season, historically great putter, but has also been maybe just unlucky on the greens lately, just had an ice cold putter the last handful of rounds, or maybe somebody who's just had a couple bad holes in their last couple rounds, but have actually played a vast majority of their holes very well. Maybe instead of finishing a T10 they finished T30 because they had one really bad bounce, or they had to take an unplayable lie on some BS, or they got a bad ruling. I don't know, just something. An example of this actually would be Jordan Spieth at the SBS Tournament Champions a couple weeks ago. He had a triple bogey and 2 double bogeys at Kapalua, which obviously is not good for that course. But one of those double bogeys, he had a really unlucky situation on the second hole where he had to take an unplayable lie from the bunker, which is that's extremely rare there. It's extremely rare for it to happen at any point, but it's extremely rare for that course in that specific spot. So it's just really unlucky spot for Spieth, and he led the field that week in birdies and absolutely killed it. And had that bad break not happened and avoided maybe one other bad hole, he would have been right there at the end. There is going to be some players, a handful of players that are going to kind of fit that criteria, here this week. So those would be kind of the guys I would maybe try and find that maybe are some of your lower owned guys to mix with some other plays you may like. The second thing I will just say here, as far as the salary structure goes this week, there are very few expensive players. Patrick Reed is the most expensive at $11,200. We have a handful of 10K players, and one of whom is Phil Mickelson, and he's actually a game time decision this week because he's coming off a hernia surgery. I think he had 2 hernia surgeries actually, and so in any case, we don't know if he'll actually end up playing. So that's something to keep an eye on if you were considering playing Phil here this week. But basically, at the end of the day, because we only have a handful of guys that are even, 5 figures as far as the salary goes, it's really easy to make lineups this week. Some people will probably go more stars and scrubs since there are several lower 6K players who aren't bad plays this week. And then some people will go more balanced salary since the top of the field is on the weaker side. So there's going to be people on both sides of the coin here. And essentially what I mean by this is I don't think you're going to see too many people here that's horribly over-owned or someone has extremely high ownership. I just don't see that really happening at any particular spot this week. You'll probably see maybe some high-ish or higher ownership for Reed just because given his name, and he's won this tournament before a handful of years ago with the tournament record, even though it was a little bit of a different format and different golf courses. I'm probably guessing somebody like John Rahm's going to be owned pretty heavily just because it seems like every single person out there Twitter just expects him to be like, the next greatest player like on tour type of thing, which he easily could, obviously, but at the same time, it's like there's a lot of publicity toward him, and so I'm sure he'll get some pretty good ownership as well. But again, like I said though, none of these guys are going to be like out of control, like way overowned or anything like that, and that kind of goes for the 7 and 6K guys as well. I don't think any of them are going to be too high this week, and so given this and that there aren't too many obvious cheaper players, I just wouldn't try fading anybody. That's just kind of the main point I'm trying to get across here. So I just did the strategy video that was posted earlier, and I talked about kind of fading some of those lower salary guys. I don't really see anybody this week that necessarily fits that category. And of course, I may, if I see something different, maybe throughout the week, I'll update on DailyFantasyWinners.com in the forum section. But as of right now, going through all of it, I don't see anything there. I'll give you a couple picks here, and I will have some more picks for you on DailyFantasyWinners.com just for some guys if you really want to play this week. I'll give you a few guys that I do like, but again, like I said, this isn't necessarily one week I have extreme confidence in, or I think anybody should have extreme confidence in. It's going to be a high variance week. So as far as the picks, I think the top pick really is just simply Patrick Reed. I know he's the most expensive, but he's the best player in the field. He's obviously an awesome putter, and you can easily just still build lineups around him. The other guy I will mention here for this video is Emiliano Grillo at $9,800. He was one of the most profitable players for people with these Tee to Green episodes last year, and I picked him, ended up recommending him quite a bit, and that worked out for a lot of people. Hopefully we'll see a lot of that again this year, because I'm definitely going to be picking him a lot this year. And a lot of people do know who Grillo is by now and everything like that, but I have a lot of people's feelings toward Ramar. That's kind of the same for me with Grillo. This, kind of moving forward here. I think he's one of, the emerging stars on tour. He's just outstanding Tee to Green, and I think his putting is definitely coming around, and that will, certainly be a good thing for him. And, I'm pretty much, honestly, I'll just tell you this right now as kind of a thing until, I guess, further notice. If I, for whatever reason, don't bring him up in a video and he's playing in a tournament, unless he has an injury or he's sick, he is never a bad play. So if you see his name pop up, I will never say it's a bad idea. To pick him, basically. And so he'll probably actually be the third best player on the international team when the President's Cup comes around later this fall, just behind Jason Day and Adam Scott. He's probably the third best international player in any case. So that is it for this. For the rest of my picks and advice and content and everything like that, head on over to DailyFantasyWinners.com in the PGA forum section, and there's actually one guy I also did mention that I do particularly like this week for the Career Builder, and he's actually $3,000 cheaper this year than he was last year, and I don't really think there's a good reason for it. And so I'll have that pick and some other picks for you over at DailyFantasyWinners.com, and then you can follow, of course, Daily Fantasy Winners on Twitter at DFantasyWinners. You can follow me on Twitter at Nick Yuskevich, and then, of course, subscriptions and likes to the videos here with our YouTube channel are always appreciated. All right, guys, good luck.